dark world remember to be the light. Welcome to Black Swan Revelations. Here is your host, the Black Swan himself, Shane.
All right, welcome to another episode of Black Swan Revelations. Today we're going to be talking about why does Donald Trump want the minerals in Ukraine? What's all this talk? Why? So we're going to ask that question. We're going to wrestle through this together, and I'm going to pose some of my ideas, some of my theories. And if you have any questions along this lines or some of your own thoughts, feel free to put them all in caps. And then if I get a chance, I'll share them and we'll talk about it. So it's interesting that there was a press conference and was with the Prime Minister of Great Britain, forget his name, and Donald Trump. And he basically said that there's no division between us and Canada. So stop making us looking like we're at each other. And Trump's like, I'm going to stop you right there. He didn't want the reporters talking about what Trump is planning for Canada. And part of that is he wants our minerals as well. He wants our stuff. He wants our heavy oil. And it's so bizarre to me that we're even having a conversation about Canada and the U.S. and the U.S. wanting to put tariffs on us, it's kind of a weird term, the tariffs, because how they work is you basically add the price to whatever products you guys are buying from Canada. So let's say something cost you guys $1 to buy from Canada. That price will now be $1.25 for you. And if you like that, if it's a chocolate bar, if it's pop, if it's potato chips, whatever it is, it's actually going to cost you more to buy something that you already like. And then you're going to be forced to go, well, maybe I'll buy American. But they don't have these items that I want. So for now, maybe I will just buy these Canadian products because I like them. That actually hurts you guys at the beginning. Yeah, we're going to take it a little bit on the chin as well. But when it comes to heavy oil, because you have like 132 of these processing plants, you accidentally built your country around the idea of using heavy oil. And you use diesel and you use kerosene and all kinds of stuff for your country. Basically, you guys have jets, you have jet fighters, you have planes, you have trains going all over the place, you have cargo ships coming and going. You rely a lot on heavy oil, diesel, and all this other stuff. And you consume a lot of oil. You consume a lot of petroleum, all this stuff. So I think in the past, what the U.S. has done is they're like, okay, we make light grade oil, so we're okay with that, but we're gonna export that to other countries like Europe, and then we're gonna import the heavy oil that we need primarily from Canada. I think we are the largest exporter into the United States of oil. You guys buy a lot of stuff from us, buy a lot of oil, and then you also buy oil from Russia, which is kind of weird when you think about it. But and then there's a few other countries where you'll buy oil from as well. But you need it because that's how your countries run. And it's weird because we're connected at the border, and we love you guys. We buy a lot of your stuff as well. And it's weird to point at us and then say, well, we're going to put tariffs on all the stuff that Americans buy from Canada when I don't think we're the issue. I don't think we're the problem because we're buying a lot of your stuff already. And now one of the mayors in Ontario, I think for Toronto Ford, is he's encouraging all businesses across Canada to put maple leaf flags under the products so that when we walk in and we go, oh, that's an American product or it's from somewhere else, we're going to buy Canadian because it's our product. And that's what he's encouraging us to do. And we buy a lot of liquor from the Americans. We buy a lot of booze. So if all of Canada decided to stop, that's a lot of money that was just pouring into the US every single year. And all of a sudden it's like, well, that could stop because I'm telling you, some of these guys are crazy. To make a point, they'll do stuff like this. They'll remove all the bottles off of every liquor store across Canada. And as a Christian, you might be going, who cares, right? I get it. But I'm just saying, on an economic level, this could hurt places like Kentucky and other states where they actually supply a lot of liquor to Ontario. And if they just said, no thanks, that's millions of dollars that is basically like money for you guys. Just easy money, easy low-hanging fruit, and that's gone. Just because we're in this little bit of a trade war that's happening, and I feel like it's unnecessary. I feel like China, just like your president said, China's the problem. 97% of rare elements are controlled by China, and that doesn't bug you guys? I think that's one of the major reasons why Trump is wanting the minerals in Ukraine, and we're going to talk about that, is because there is also coal there. There's uranium there that you guys need as well for your nuclear programs. There's lithium because you guys want to buy a lot of electric vehicles as well. China doesn't buy your cars. We do. We buy way more cars from America than China does. They don't buy American. They buy European cars and they buy South Korean cars and they buy cars from Japan, but they don't buy your cars. I think on average between 50 and 100,000 American cars are purchased from China. And those are just rare cars just for the fun of it. But that's not enough to sustain you guys. But we buy way more cars. We buy way more American cars. We buy way more American products. Like, we love all the crap that you guys sell us. We love that stuff. So it's weird to hit us when China is in control of the rare minerals and specifically rare elements. So I think Trump going in to the meeting with Zelensky, the idea was, Zelensky, come to America and sign this deal. Just here's the pen, sign it, and then we'll talk about everything else. Like, we're going to have troops there. So don't worry about security, because if we're occupying the space in Ukraine, believe me, Russia's not going to touch you because you're going to have Big Brother planted in Ukraine. But for some reason, that wasn't good enough for Zelensky. It was like, I need to see it on paper first, and then maybe we could talk about exchanging licenses. And I'm like, I'm watching this press conference. I'm like, what is he talking about? What is President Zelensky talking about licenses? So I started doing a little bit of digging, a little bit of research, and I found some interesting things that are going on in Ukraine that maybe you guys are aware of, maybe you're not aware of, but I've been talking about this for 3 years, that Ukraine and Israel are the top dogs in the world when it comes to artificial intelligence and when it comes to drone technology. They're the top dogs. And I think what perhaps you American folk don't realize is you actually supplied Ukraine in 2023 with 3D printers. And these printers are not small. They're not like desktop printers. You actually supply printers that are actually the size of a U-Haul trailer. Like picture a 40 or a 60-foot long trailer that is full of one 3D printer. And what are they used for? Well, they're used for creating drones, building drones. So they build parts for these drones. They don't need anybody's parts anymore. They got the blueprints. They have licenses to build drones that are, the average price tag of a drone that Ukraine builds is about $100 to $1,000. And they fit these drones with armaments so that they can drop a grenade or a bomb or whatever, and they can take out a armored vehicle like nothing. So if you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on an armored vehicle, let's say Russia's sending these in, tanks, millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, and you build a drone that's $1,000 and you drop a bomb, you build these kamikaze drones, you're way ahead of the game and you don't lose people. And they're building mines as well. So when Zelensky's talking to Trump about exchanging licenses, I believe he's talking about exchanging technology, exchanging blueprints. We have the best 3D technology today. I'm speaking on behalf of Zelensky. You have the best Air Force in the world. Give me the blueprints to your fighters and I will print them. I will print them. I will print smaller fighters, whatever, scale it down, but we can print these things. We'll just print them with our 3D printers. But we need the blueprints so that we can have a look as to how you design these planes, and then we'll scale them for what we need them for our war. And Trump's like, no, we're not talking about this. You didn't sign the deal. This conversation's over. And then Zelensky starts going on saying, well, actually, you think you're safe across the ocean. You're going to feel influence. I don't know what influence means. Maybe I have to look it up in Greek or in the Russian or in Swahili or something. But I think influence means you're going to feel what we feel today in Ukraine, whether it's me or whether it's my pal Putin. You're going to feel it one day. You don't feel it right now because there's an ocean between you. And Trump has said this. He said, we're not worried about anybody attacking us because we have an ocean. Europe should be worried about Putin. So Zelensky's met with Europeans and said, look, we don't need the United States of America. I've actually put up most of the front against Russia, and you need me. We don't need America. And I think every time Zelensky says this stuff, it gets Trump mad. So now you have Trump meeting with him, and basically, JD, do you have anything to contribute to this conversation? And JD's just like a wolf dog. You never said thank you. You walked in this room and you sat down in that chair and you didn't say thank you. For the last 5 minutes, I've been watching you and you're not thankful at all. And he's just going to town on him. And so is Trump. It's like, you don't have any cards here. And Zelensky's like, I don't like playing cards. I'm not playing cards here. Like, I don't think he understood what Trump was saying. All these sayings that Americans have. You're not playing with a full deck. I don't have any deck of cards on me. I don't know what you're saying. I know it's a bad Ukrainian accent. It's very bad. But there's a lot of times where you'll see Zelensky raise his eyebrows and he's like looking at Trump, like shaking his head. I've even heard him cuss under his breath. So it's kind of bizarre that they're having it out at the Oval Office. And it was all because I think it was like the day before Trump said, we're going to have a meeting. We're going to get the deal done. Because if you've read The Art of the Deal, you know Trump likes good deals. And he's like, here, just sign and then we'll figure out the rest. And Zelensky's like, no, I need to know what kind of security you guys are going to promise, because anytime you guys talk about diplomacy, Putin breaks it. He breaks every kind of peace deal, peace treaty, everything. He's not, we signed deals for gas line pipelines to go through Ukraine, all this stuff. And Putin said no, or broke the truce. So if you have Zelensky going back home, you got to wonder what's in his pocket. He has these 3D printers that are second to none now. And you might be asking, well, Shane, I thought this was talking about why Trump wants minerals. Well, one of the minerals is titanium. If you have titanium, you can build stronger ships, which is what a lot of the ships are built out of. You can actually use titanium for your planes, your jet fighters, your armored vehicles, all kinds of stuff. And Ukraine has this available, although it's located in Donbass, I think is the place. It's on the eastern side of Ukraine. But they also have lithium as well, which is, if America is going green, as in they're in love with electric vehicles, which seems like that's the trend that you guys are going in. Feels like it. You guys want to, like, you're building all these huge manufacturing plants and all this kind of stuff. You're partners with Elon Musk, and he loves electric vehicles. If you're going down that road, you're going to need cobalt from Congo, and you're going to need lithium. And Ukraine doesn't have a ton, but there are untapped resources of lithium that I think they don't fully comprehend, at least on paper, how much lithium is underground in Ukraine. But there are American companies that actually bought some of these mines in Ukraine before the war. They're American companies, and they're like, we know we've done our due diligence. We know there's lithium. And then 3 months later, the war started. So they're not allowed to mine because of the war, because of martial law, all this kind of stuff. You can't do that. You can't just go in there and just operate like normal. So these companies have invested millions of dollars doing research and all kinds of stuff, and they're like, yeah, this looks like a good deal on paper with Ukraine. Let's make it happen. And then the war starts. So you got American companies stuck in Ukraine, and they can't get the lithium out, and you need it for electric cars. So you have titanium, you have coal, you also have cobalt, uranium you have for your nuclear programs as well. All that stuff, it could be occupied by Russia, and you're not going to get a sniff, and Russia will charge you for everything. Or you guys can go in and take it over and just mine it yourself. So that's kind of what Zelensky's up against. He's kind of up against those options where it's like, well, if I don't make a deal, the United States of America can walk in someday into Ukraine, because maybe he made a deal with Russia. Maybe he said, you know what? We're going to end this war real quick Zelensky's agreed to split the minerals with us. We need minerals. You need minerals. Let's just be a happy family, with Zelensky doing most of the legwork in Ukraine. So it's kind of an interesting point that we're at right now. And I think Zelensky is going to be doing everything he can to try and win over the Europeans now. Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed that Zelensky would make a lot of faces. If you go watch that press conference, there's a longer version. It's about 49, 50 minutes. And when he's talking about licenses, again, I think he's talking about 3D printing technology, exchanging them with the US, even though the US gave them the printer. But I think they've advanced so much in the last couple of years that Zelensky's like, hey, let's just swap licenses. You give us blueprints for some of your weapons and we'll print them. We'll be unstoppable against Russia. And that wasn't the deal. That's why I think JD Vance was upset, is you're treating this almost like a courtroom in front of all the media to now make a deal and say, if you guys can do this, if maybe we can talk about this plan and this plan. It's like, no, the deal was, and you knew what the deal was, it was to come here and to sign a mineral deal. Then we can have a conversation about how security works. And if you're Russia and you see a United States flag planted in Ukraine, don't you think that is enough security for the Ukrainians to know that Russia's not going to drop any more bombs in Ukraine, because that means World War III? But that wasn't good enough for Zelensky. So that makes it a little bit confusing for me. When because obviously we weren't there at all the meetings and everything, but when you extract little pieces here and there, it feels like Zelensky wants more technology. He wants more money. He wants more weapons. And he's not willing to give anything back, aka minerals. That's what it feels like on the surface. And if it's not, somebody in the audience can correct me and say, yeah, no, Shane, you totally misunderstand Zelensky. He's doing it for whatever reason, whatever. I don't know what his play is. It feels like he's just on the take. And yeah, I'm a little bit bitter because he took a lot of money from us, and we have a manufacturing plant in Ontario where we actually help manufacture armored vehicles for Zelensky. We built 1,600 in the last 2 years, armored vehicles for Zelensky. Did I get a thank you? No, I did not. Did we even know about this? No, we did not. Company's name is Rushel in Brampton, Ontario. They build armored vehicles. I wouldn't be surprised if, let's just say, for some crazy reason, we had another emergency Holocaust or something that pops in. The Emergency Act, I should say Holocaust. I don't know why I say Holocaust, but Emergency Act from, let's say, Trudeau ushered in another Emergencies Act. We have armored vehicles that could be used against us. We could. They just roll them out, and there'd be nothing to do, nothing we can do. Like if our own government turned on us, we're a little bit different than in the United States. You guys bear arms. We don't do that. We have hunting rifles and kitchen knives and all this kind of stuff, but that's it. The government could actually knock on our door any day, take our stuff away, whatever it is, declare an Emergencies Act. They won't call it martial law, but they'll do something else. There's nothing we can do about it. And in fact, if you Americans decided one day, you know what? We like all the minerals, we like all the resources that Canada likes, especially in Alberta where I live. You guys could walk right in and there's nothing we can do about it. We have a Navy. How many subs do we have? One at West Edmonton Mall, and it's a 2-man sub or a 3-man sub, and it's for the dolphins. It's for the fish. So it'll take us a while to get that sub out to sea. But you guys could literally just walk in across the borders and say, this is ours. Thank you very much. And there's nothing we can do about it. That's the frustrating part. Some people might be, yeah, you know what? We're okay with the idea of being the 51st state. It's possible. It's possible, especially Alberta. I think Alberta, a lot of Albertans are like, yeah, we don't mind that idea at all because we can't stand our government right now. So being the 51st is not a bad idea. I have mixed feelings because I'm a patriot as well when it comes to being in Canada. I love everything that we have here. We're not shooting each other on each corner, although in some provinces it's bad. But it's a weird time because if you told me in November or December that we're going to be talking about the idea of removing every bottle of liquor across Canada, starting in Ontario, because of what America's doing to us, I'd be like, I can't see that. There's no way Trump would ever do that. Russia's their enemy. China is their enemy. We're not the enemy, but yet the first thing he does is we're going to put 25% tariffs on anything that Americans buy from Canada. We're going to buy Greenland. We're going to go over to the Panama Canal because we don't like that deal because they sold it to China to let them operate it. We're going to take that back. We want to make Canada the 51st state. We want to build a Riviera hotel in Gaza. Did I mention we want Greenland? Like he is. I've never seen a president with more stones than Donald Trump. I've never seen that. I've never seen that before. I've never seen a president with as big as stones as Donald Trump has. It's amazing, actually. I think he probably could be in the Guinness Book of World Records for the biggest stones. All right, so let's see here. Let's go to some of the questions here. And then I got to take a FaceTime call from my grandson. All right, so let's see here. Any question? Let's see here. I'm going in reverse order here. So if you have a question, put it all in caps. The nations of the world are sucking USA dry because we are so generous. Name a country that hasn't bestowed on USA such things as we have as on other nations. I get it. I get your feeling. I get it. We kind of feel the same way as well when it comes to soft lumber. We give discounts to Americans, but it's because we love you guys. We love you a lot. And because you had almost, I think it was just over 100,000 homes burnt in California, lumber's not easy to come by for Americans. I hate to say it, but it's not easy for you guys to get grade A lumber. We have it. And because of the way things work in our country, our government can literally walk into a zone and say, this is all going to be cut down. We're going to cut this all down. You can't do that in America. You can't go onto someone's private land and say, this is all going to be a forest, because they'll pull out their little, what do you call it? And they'll escort you off their property. You guys operate a little bit differently than in Canada, but we have lots of forests. We can supply you with lots of lumber. We've been charging you cheap for the lumber. Go buy it somewhere else. It's going to cost you more money because, again, you got to transport on planes and all kinds of stuff. But we like buying your stuff is what I'm trying to say. And you like buying our lumber. And we got thousands of miles of pipelines already built going from Canada to the US. So can't we just be friends? We're not taking advantage of you. You guys have American farmers coming in and we buy your eggs from America. No problem. We buy it because your eggs are a little bit cheaper than our eggs. So we risk the idea of putting our Canadian farmers out of business because we're buying your eggs for cheaper. We get it. We've been doing that since the 50s or 60s. No problem. We love you guys. So it kind of goes back and forth. It really does. It goes back and forth. We're not trying to take advantage of you. You're not trying to take advantage of us. It's business. But I think we can both agree China's taking advantage of the whole world when they are up to no good in Congo, and they're creating business entities in Congo and producing red cobalt, red because it's bloody. Lots of children get killed mining for cobalt, and they wash them through all these companies that are Chinese companies, and that goes back into China, and then they're building electric cars like crazy. And we're guilty of that as well, because anytime you buy an electric car, those cars are run off of cobalt as well, and lithium. And lithium is not cheap to mine, as in you use a lot of water to mine for lithium, and you can't just drink the stuff. So I think for us to get, I think it's way more profitable for us to get along with each other and put our backs to each other, against each other, and then take on the world together. I don't think we need to be at each other with these tariff wars. I don't think that's helping us at all, because otherwise you're going to say, well, we've abused you Americans because we go to Disneyland every year, or we go to Florida and we watch baseball games in America, and all you abuse us. You watch all our sports, you abuse us. It's like, well, we're buying all your merch. We're buying all your stuff. I don't think you want us to stop buying your stuff. Is that what you're saying? I don't think so. But Trump seems to have, and I think it's because of Trudeau. I think there's something that Trudeau said to Trump. Maybe he kissed his wife the first time around and Trump didn't like it. He's like, I don't like that, Trudeau. I don't like him. I don't like him a lot because he kissed my wife, Melania. And after that, I think he had it out for Trudeau. And the idea that he's a good-looking guy to all the young people and all this stuff, I think it bugs Trump. It bugs him that he comes in all suave. But here's a secret to Trump. Trudeau has no friends. He has no friends. When he's done here, he's not going to have a job anywhere. Who's going to hire him? The World Economic Forum? Most likely. Never thought about that, but yeah, most likely he'll get hired by Klaus Schwab. Trudeau's like Newsom. Yeah. Let's see here. What's going on here? Can't see past 2300, 2330. I wonder why. Remote viewers. Let's see here. I'm just going through the questions real quick here. Let's see here. I know we have a Secret Service military group that holds the world record for distance on a sniper shot, like 3 to 4 miles. Got to keep our land glorious and free. Yep, that'll come in handy. Just get our snipers out there to shoot distances of like 3 or 4 miles. Yeah, we got the best hockey players, all this kind of stuff. I've shared my video on it. But I find it interesting that it almost feels like this could pit us against each other, when I don't know how many Canadians actually travel into the US, but there's a lot of us that you even call us snowbirds because we spend 6 months in the United States. We don't do it because we don't like it. We do it because we love it. We love visiting the US. I have a daughter in the US, a son-in-law in the US, in Phoenix. So we love going down there, especially when it's warmer. It's nice. But it saddens me when I see all your grocery stores not having eggs. Now, you might have taken care of that since a few months ago, but it's sad that you guys get a bird flu disease and all this kind of stuff. Like, we want to help, want to send our eggs, all kinds of stuff. There's ways to help each other out, especially if you guys are getting some, I heard rumors that you guys are going to get another crazy cold spell in the next week or two. Heavy storms. Like, this is not the time to be going at each other, because you don't want us throttling back energy for you guys in Ontario going into New York when you just got hit with a massive snowstorm. You don't want that. That's dirty pool, I think, when we do that to each other, when we actually need each other. So I'm hoping it doesn't go that way, but I could tell you there's a lot of our prime ministers that are like, cut the Americans off with their energy. If they don't appreciate us, or if they don't want our energy, just cut them off. Turn the lights out. Take all the alcohol off the shelves. Stop buying American. That's going to hurt you guys. Again, the only reason why I say that is China's not buying as much stuff from you guys as we are. So why are you wanting to hurt us when we buy all your stuff? Doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand what Trump's trying to do. I really don't. Let's see here. We love each other, and there are greedy governments that suck both ways. Yeah, exactly. Like, our government is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Let's see. What else do we have? You love having us as your bodyguard. Well, who's attacking us, by the way? Can I ask that question? Because I keep hearing this, that the United States is protecting us. From what? We also have oceans. We have an ocean on the east. We have an ocean on the west. Alaska above us? Or is that what our threat is? Are we worried about Russia coming into Alaska? When you actually bought Alaska from Russia, are we worried that Russians are going to come down from Russia to Alaska and then come down and invade us? What are you protecting us from? I thought you guys took Alaska to protect America from Russians. That's why you have Alaska, and I think that's why you have Greenland, or that's why you want Greenland, is because now you can watch that. And I get it. I understand the idea that you're like, hey, we're protecting you, but I'm asking you from what? It won't feel like protection if you guys just walk in on us. That won't feel like protection. So I've heard that a lot. I've heard it a lot, but I think in this day and age, it would be better to make diplomatic relations, I would think, especially with your neighbor. We have the largest uncontested border in the world. And these tariff wars are not good for us. They're really not. It's already like gas is high, all kinds of stuff. It's crazy. And yet we're taking it out on each other. I say put tariffs on China. Put tariffs on Russia. Stop buying their gas. But for some reason, America is okay with the idea of buying Russian gas and oil, and so are we. For some reason, we buy their stuff too. I don't understand it. It feels like at the end of the day that all these guys are buddy-buddy behind closed doors, laughing at us, mocking us. Because don't forget those tariffs. Let's just say, for example, back to the dollar figure. If you bought a chocolate bar and it cost an extra 25%, where do you think that 25% is going? It's not going to the store owner that charged $1.25. It's going to the government's coffers. So that's why they say we're going to get rich. We, meaning the government, is going to get rich off of tariffs. That money is not going into infrastructure. 25% tariffs. It's not going into an education for children in America. Read more. It's not going into safety. It's not going into the military. It's going into the government's bank. And then they divvy it up late at night saying, you get some, you get some, you get some. And it's the Americans that are paying 25% into their coffers. It's not us that's paying. We're not giving your government money. The government is taking your money and putting it into their bank account, 25%. And if you're okay with that, then you're okay with the idea of tariff wars. The same thing would happen if we match what Trump is doing in Canada and we said, we're going after America. We're going to put 25% tariffs on you. That hurts us. Our own government would hurt us because, again, Trudeau would take all that 25% and he'd put it in his bank account, not the political party, his bank account. So that's the dangers of tariffs. It looks cool on the outside. You go into a grocery store and you see item A, $1.25, item B, $1, and you're like, well, you know what? I'm still gonna buy product A because I really like it. That 25% goes to the government. Or you buy American, but you really like that product. So it's kind of a horrible way to go, I think. I think it's horrible. I don't like tariffs, but that's just me. Let's see, what else do we have here? Amazon has no issue with eggs or chickens. They kissed the son and he was inaugurated. Yeah, that's right. He was behind Trump, wasn't he? And so was Zuckerberg was there at the inauguration. Who's the other guy? Bezos from Amazon. He was there. Elon Musk was there. Like, it was weird to me that it have everybody there. And you're right. It's almost like let's start signing some paperwork in the back after this inauguration. It's weird, man. I love the US. I just don't like what Trump is doing, and just disappointed in him as well. Yeah, and I feel a little bit that way. And again, I get it from an American standpoint. It feels like in some ways he's doing it for America, but in other ways it feels like he's stirring things up to pick a fight with people. And maybe it was because he was shot at in the summertime. Maybe something changed in him, because I don't know what it's like to be shot at. I know what it's like to be beat up. The next day you feel a little different, especially if you survived or if you won a fight, and you shouldn't have won a fight. I know how you feel the next day. You feel pretty good about yourself. So maybe there's something with Trump where after he got shot and survived and got up and he's like, fight, 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 that he feels that there is now a purpose, that he's invincible. And all of a sudden now it's like, you know what? Let's name, instead of New Mexico, let's just call it, or not New Mexico, the Gulf of Mexico. Let's call it the Gulf of America. Ha ha ha. That's kind of funny. I'd like to buy Greenland. Wait, what? I would like to make Canada the 51st state. Wait, what? With Trudeau in charge? The guy that we don't like? You're going to put him? You're not going to allow us to elect a governor like you guys do in Canada or in the United States? You're going to pick our governor? Is that how it works? You're going to do that? So it's kind of, it feels like something changed since last July, where all of a sudden Trump's got a little bit of edge behind him. A little bit of edge. And remember when they're making fun of Zelensky with his suit? JD was all over him. Like, why don't you wear a suit? I know we all thought it. I've thought it like months ago. Thought about it. I'm like, why doesn't he wear a suit? But I will give Zelensky points for this. He said, after the war, I will wear a costume. I will wear, and perhaps I will even wear a better costume than what you're wearing. I thought, wow, that was like a strike for you. I thought that was pretty good against JD Vance, because it was weird for him to come at him. And I get it. From Zelensky's point, if you don't have a suit on, it would be weird during wartime to wear a suit and act like nothing's wrong. So I think that's kind of his way of protesting the war. He said, I have no problem after the war wearing a suit. I'm like, you know what? I can respect that. If that's what it is. If that's what it is. I can respect that. Because I'm not a real suit guy myself. So I get it. When you have a place or a dinner and you're like, oh man, if I have to wear a suit, like it's kind of tight around the neck and you got to make a tie and all this, I'd rather wear a t-shirt, a sweater. I'm a t-shirt guy. That's what I like doing. Do I look good in a suit? I think I do. But I prefer not to. If I do wear a suit, I like the collar open up a little bit. I don't like the ties. Feels a little starchy, a little stiff. So I get it. Like if Zelensky doesn't like suits and whatever till the war's over, hey, knock yourself out. It just seemed weird that JD was all over Zelensky. It was weird. Let's say this. I heard him say that too. He was in his fatigues for the meeting with Trump. And you know what? And it didn't really bother Trump too much. He actually defended Zelensky. He's like, yeah, no, you don't look that bad. Like, I like what you're wearing or whatever. But JD is like, why don't you wear a suit? You're disrespecting the Oval Office. You little twerp. You're disrespecting us. Felt like it's almost like I forget what her name was. Megan, I think Megan Kelly. She said it felt, she had a couple of guests on her show. One of them was from Russia, and she said it kind of felt like two parents arguing. You know, they've been divorced, and then they come into the same room, and they're like, is he going to be with us this weekend? Or do you get him next week? Or when do I get him? I don't want him this weekend. You can have him next weekend. It makes you feel weird. That's what it felt like, was mom and dad were fighting over Zelensky. It was kind of weird. Like he was like the child in the family, the adopted, unwanted, adopted child is how Zelensky felt. Or that's what he looked like. I felt like he was the adopted child. Vance was a twerp not too long ago. Yeah, I feel like JD Vance was a little bit hard on him. But again, it just looked like these guys don't like each other. And it's weird that a vice president would go off like that, because if you remember Mike, I think it was Mike Pence, your vice president, when Trump was going after, or he was getting double teamed by Nancy Pelosi and this other guy. I forget the other guy's name. Both of them are kind of idiots. And you could tell that they were double teaming Donald Trump, because one of the guys would look at Nancy and it's like, this is a good time for you to step in here. And Trump took them on, no problem. But Mike Pence, I just remember him looking like this. And it was weird. Like, say something, Mike. But he didn't. So JD is not like that guy for sure. For sure. Chuck Schumer, that's the guy. Yeah, like, are they best buddies? Is Trump best friends with Chuck? Because he's always like, I like the guy. You know, he used to like me a long time ago when I was building hotels and doing all kinds. He was like my best friend. But as soon as I became president, they don't like me anymore. Like, it feels weird that whatever politics you guys got going on, it's weird to see everybody show up at the funeral and be laughing buddies, like Barack Obama and Trump, elbowing each other and going, look at that Kamala right in front of us. Can you believe that she bought the idea that you and I don't get along? Can you believe that? And Barack's like, shh, they're going to hear us. What are you doing after? What are you doing after? Going out for drinks. Okay. I'm there. I'm there for you. Just seems like it's weird. Like, I'll be very sad if I was going to a dinner party and I saw Trump, Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama, Elon Musk, Zelensky, Putin, President Xi. Who else do we have that we don't like? Trudeau, all laughing and having fun. And Trump's playing the piano and they're all singing. I would be very disappointed. I would feel like I took the blue pill or something. Something happened where I'm like, take me back to La La Land. Like, I don't want to wake up from this because this is weird. They're all buddies. That's what it feels like every once in a while, is they're all friends. I hope I'm wrong. I could be wrong about this. Once a Marine, always a Marine. Okay, I missed something there. They rip us off and laugh and pour out filth in our culture and hurt God's children, Satan's work. Excuse me. That's what it feels like. It feels like that they're in on a joke that I don't know. I don't know what the punchline is. They may have told it to me and I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't get the joke. I don't understand it. I don't get it. And they're all bumping each other, elbowing each other. He doesn't get this joke that we're all in it together. That's kind of what it feels like. I don't like that feeling at all. Jesus could not come fast enough. Yes. I think that's the pulse of what we feel in Western society. We feel that. Exactly the way it is. I used to work in government for 30 years. Politics are a stage show behind the curtain. They're all buddies. Isn't that interesting? Sad, right? He said he was a snake. Remember the poem? No, I don't remember. I'm not sure who we're talking about here. Let's see here. You're right, Shane. They're all in on it. The world is their stage. That's what it feels like. Every currency in history of the world has been inflated to zero. Eventually, usually around 200 years long, you can look it up for yourself. Everything is pointing to Bitcoin being the next. Yeah, I think it makes sense to me that the whole world would go under some kind of cryptocurrency. So you go to some places, they don't even like cash. They're like, oh, that's disgusting. What do you have there? Cash? Independence? Let's see here. Deception is the greatest sign of living in the last days. Yep, I agree with that. Hello, Rebecca. How are you, dear sister? Oh, that's not for me. That's for someone else. Another digital currency, quite possibly. Quite possibly. You know what's interesting, too, about these 3D printers that the United States of America donated to Ukraine to help the war effort. Not only do they build drones, print drones, not only do they print mines that you can step on and blow your feet off, but they also, what's happening is some of the soldiers get concussed, or some of the soldiers get their hands blown off or their legs blown off or their skull crushed. What happens is they actually use these 3D printers. They can print titanium. So what they're doing is they're mapping out the person's skull. They do an X-ray of the skull, and they can actually print a titanium skull. Maybe not the whole thing, but chunks of it, and reconstruct a person's skull so that it looks virtually normal. And if they got their face caved in, they could do reconstructive surgery with artificial intelligence combined with 3D printing to the point where they can actually start printing out skin. They're not quite there yet. They're very close to it. I'm sure China's there. But Ukraine can print fingers, digits, arms, legs, body parts. And doesn't this feel eerily similar to the Mark of the Beast or to the Rising of the Beast when he gets a fatal head wound and somebody comes along and heals that person so that the whole world is like, wow, this guy's amazing. Look at this. He had his skull kicked in and he survived a fatal head wound. He survived it. He should have been dead. Well, in the last 3 years, Ukraine has been doubling down on 3D printing technology to rebuild people. Not 100%, like they're not building everybody, but they're going in that direction. And isn't it interesting that when you watch the movie Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger was describing how the T-800 was built, how it was able to get past all the guard posts undetectable. Well, the first wave wasn't very successful. They would take body parts from people and they would call it T-600, and none of the parts fit. So people can see these T-600s coming from miles away, and they take them out. So then these machines would evolve and learn, and then they built a T-800, which was like a perfect killing machine. It would come into their barracks, their hidden layers, and they would take people out. And the only way that they can detect these T-800s was because of dogs. Dogs could detect that something's off about this guy. That's the only way. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to tell, because they had some kind of skin, normal skin, if you will, synthetic skin. And then underneath it, it was titanium. Some kind of titanium alloy that is almost indestructible. And it's interesting that Ukraine is at the top of the food chain when it comes to artificial intelligence, it comes to drone technology, and now they're ramping things up. China for sure is ranked number one with 3D printing. They blow everybody out of the water. They've been blowing people out of the water for years. But I think because we've given so much money to Ukraine, I think they were able to ramp up their production of 3D printing at an alarming rate. Like, we just have no idea what they can create now. They don't need our parts shipped to them. They can just replicate it. They could just duplicate it. They could just print it out on their own. And this is what they've been printing drones now, like freestanding drones inside this foam type apparatus, where basically as it hardens, it turns into drones, and it's all computer, it's all artificial intelligence, it's all AI driven, and they work. And they design them so that they can actually go after the Russians, go after the North Koreans, and the North Koreans are like, I don't even know why we're here. I thought we were doing some kind of an exercise drill, and I thought this was like war games or something. And they're like, no, actually, you've been captured because Ukraine is at war with Russia, and you're captured. Tell us everything you know. I don't know. I just signed up, and I thought maybe I can get a free education. I don't even know where I am. And they're taking out these North Koreans with extreme prejudice with all these drones. They're trying to run away from these drones, and they're getting killed. And I'm pretty sure they don't even know why they're there. The North Koreans. And that should say something about how Russia's in a tough situation if they have to rely on another army to help them out, taking more bullets. That should tell you that Russia's in a tough place right now. Yes, you can print. They've been making guns for a long time with plastic bullets and all kinds of stuff, but now you can print a drone, and then within days you can fly that drone, strap a grenade to it, and then it can drop it on an armored vehicle, a tank, or whatever. And there's nothing the Russians can do to stop these things. And you could duplicate these one after another because you have a lot of the minerals that Trump wants as well. This is going to be a big deal. This is almost like a 3D war that nobody knows about. Because we think, oh, we're giving Zelensky money. What is he using that money? Like $350+ million disappeared. That probably went to Iran. Just saying, just spitballing. Probably went to Hamas somewhere, but there's no way to trace that. But the rest of the money is going into infrastructure, into learning, into AI, into drone technology, into 3D printing technology. These guys are going to be able to create humans one day, artificial humans. I think Ukraine is going to be a nation to not mess with someday in the future, because we've given them so much money, and instead of them buying or building tanks and Raptors and bombers, stealth bombers, and all this stuff, they're putting it into drones, and they're making that technology so sophisticated. We always think of drones as being big, but imagine if Zelensky and company made these drones about this size or half that size. Maybe they make it the size of a hummingbird or the size of a bee. You would never see them coming. You'd never see a drone coming. You just hear a little buzz and then boom, you're concussed. Doesn't take much to concuss us. So giving Zelensky over $1 billion, and he puts it into AI, puts it into drone technology, into 3D printing, don't be surprised if all of a sudden you see millions of those things coming across the ocean because of what Trump said to him. And don't forget, they have amphibious drones as well. These drones, they look like dolphins, and they go underwater and they take out subs, ships. So you would never see it coming on the ocean. He could have dispatched them on Saturday after Trump insulted him, and you think an ocean could save you? I don't know, man. I trust Zelensky as far as I could throw him, and I could throw him pretty far because he's a little guy. But these drones are second to none. Like these are a big deal. So I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if all of a sudden we got more news. Hey, these drones are coming in from the sea for some, we don't know what they are, but they look like dolphins. They look like these round little things. And as soon as they land on the shore, they're rolling like droid decas or whatever from Star Wars. And they roll, and then they have these machine guns. We wouldn't see it coming. We're too busy watching Netflix, too busy watching Friends. We wouldn't see all that stuff. We're actually quite vulnerable. All you would need is one little grid, boom. All of a sudden we're like, hey, I can't call my mom anymore. Sorry, mom, if you're watching, I can't call. I can't upload a video because there's a power surge, and all of a sudden we lost everything. We would be helpless. Like, it's bad enough that I have to rely on GPS to get anywhere. But imagine not having that either. And you're like, man, I don't know where I'm driving, even though I'm still in my neighborhood. We would be lost in minutes. Grocery stores don't last very long. The holding space of a grocery store is less than 24 hours. They rely on these trucks coming in every single day to fill them up. Quite vulnerable. And it was interesting that Zelensky said, basically, you feel that an ocean will protect you. He's like, you will feel influence. You will feel influence. I'd like to know what that means. Doesn't sound good, influence. What, you gonna create another podcast talking about it? Influence? I think what he was saying was, you're going to feel what we feel. You're going to feel the pain that we feel. And I hope that doesn't come true for America. But like I said, I don't trust him. I have Ukrainian friends. They've told me, they said, Shane, he is not our president. I'm like, whoa, that's kind of harsh. It's kind of harsh. Like, yeah, if I go back to the front, or if I go back to Ukraine, they're going to put me on the front line. I fled. I left my family. These are teachers. It's crazy, right? Anyways, I think that's pretty much it for today. Pretty much. See, any other comments here? I just heard that Jason from Truth Seeker posted a write-up that Trump to make a speech on something to do with the human chip mark of the beast or something. Anybody can come on. I know Trump was just having a press conference with TMSC, I think. I actually drove by the place. It's a manufacturing plant for chips. And I think it's owned by Taiwanese, or I believe from Taiwan. They own this is it TMSC? But they're the world's largest manufacturing of microchips. Like, and these things are like little tiny wafers. Tiny wafers. You can't match that technology. But they have a huge manufacturing plant in Phoenix, Arizona. And I drove by it. It looks like a city. It's crazy, man. So I think that's what deal was going on today or yesterday. Hundreds of millions of dollars going into the US because of this, probably billions of dollars. It's crazy, right? All right. Yeah, exactly. They want all that stuff for manufacturing chips and computers and all this kind of stuff. You just have to follow the money. That's it. You just got to follow the money. Look up, what's this here? Shane, please go look up Snake Poem. Trump said okay, I'll have a look at it. Thank you for that. I'll check it out. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you guys as always. Thank you for spending an hour with me today. I really appreciate you guys. And I'll see you in another video. Bye for now.
Black Swan Revelations here on YouTube brought you today's mind-bending journey. Dive into the discussion, your comments, questions, prayer requests, and powerful testimonies of Jesus' love are what fuel this community. Did today's episode hit home? Smash that like button. New here? Subscribe and ring the notification bell so you never miss a live stream or a video upload. Thanks for being part of today's adventure. Catch you in the next video, or maybe even in the clouds. Stay curious, stay blessed.